Yo, what is up? We are in Burleigh Heads, Gold Coast, Australia. Got a good friend, Ben, here from Adelaide.
Melbourne.
Is that Adelaide or
Country
Melbourne?
Melbourne. It's close. One side of Australia to the other.
That's awkward, eh? We actually met recently, so essentially, tell them a little bit about what you do, your journey here. We're going to be talking about small town syndrome. All right, we both came from small towns. We're now in the Gold Coast, relatively still a small town, but completely different mentality. Learned so much by being here, being around certain types of people, whether it's in business, fitness, just people on a different level, to also help us elevate. So we're going to be giving our story, and if you are someone in a small town, you're going to take some value from this in regards to what we did to get out of that, to then step into more of our potential and how you can do the same. So tell them a little bit about the story, man.
Here we are. So 22 years old, birthday was 3 weeks ago. 10 months ago, I got into high ticket sales. That was my gateway to freedom. Now, touching on small town, I come from probably one of the most remote towns in Victoria. It's a town called Benalla. Now, we're talking about 3 hours north of Melbourne. The closest town to me was about 30 to 40 minutes away in any direction. So when you're saying in the middle of nowhere, you really are in the middle of nowhere. Now, to think in 10 months' time, you can go from living in one of the smallest towns in Victoria to now living in the Gold Coast, right by the beach, surrounded by people like yourself, Craig, Jay, Braden. Every 10th car you see is a Porsche or a Lamborghini. It's something a lot of people can't fathom. And if you told me 10, 11 months ago, the position I was in then, that I'd be on the Gold Coast, surrounded by absolute killers, I'd be like, I don't believe you, show me the proof. But my journey is very unique. I come from a very small town where a lot of people are closed-minded. You mentioned something called small town syndrome, and it's something that a lot of people, a lot of my friends and family were affected heavily by this syndrome. I was a member. I was a member of that community for
It's hard to realize when you're in it.
It is, because you don't realize you're in this. Craig says it all the time, right? But you're in this echo chamber. You only know what you've ever known. You are limited to your beliefs. Now, the people I was around, two words that go together: online business. I was speaking a foreign language. What do you mean online business? What do you mean by business? You're either a regular tradesman, you work at the supermarket, you date the same girl for the next 40 years and you just live a average life. You go to work, you come home, you drink beer on the weekend, you go to the pub, you watch the footy, and that's it. I was a black sheep, right? You want to escape now.
Same shit.
That's my journey, is coming from true blue Aussie, being in a position where you're a tradie, fully qualified refrigeration mechanic, to now high ticket sales,
and
living
just
the dream.
One thing there is, if you're watching and you're not from Australia, Australian culture is quite relaxed. Especially in small towns, it's really just work your job and you go home to a wife that you hate. And then you drink your beers and you drink your sorrows away. And then you go to bed and you repeat it until you go to the pub on the weekend, like you said. It's very relaxed lifestyle. There's not, people are quite reserved. But not in a necessarily bad way. I think it depends where you are. I just find that's quite a common thing in Australia.
It is. You could quite confidently say the majority of the population lives in that cycle. And they're not sad, they're not depressed, they're just doing the same thing every day, in and out. And until you explore, until you discover that, oh my God, there's actually a different world out there. You can, what do you mean? You can actually work for yourself. You don't actually have to wake up every morning and go to a job that you hate. You can actually do what you want with your life. Oh my God, there's actually another world out there.
I think I take it for granted sometimes, because I've been in the online space for quite a while. But I do, if I really put my brain back to remember that life, I had to, the only way for me to really work on my stuff was to self-isolate. Because it was so unrelatable to so many people, except for maybe one or two people maximum. So there would be one friend of mine that I had who was in the online space, but he also closeted himself. So we're kind of just in an office most of the time by ourselves, just watching YouTube videos for inspiration of people that we wanted to be like at the time. It was very unrelatable. I remember there would be so many times I would be working to the point, because I had nothing else to do. Literally, that's what I would say. Like, what else? There's nothing else to do, so I guess I'll just work.
Yeah.
And then when my brain was so fried, I'd just go stand out on the front yard and just look at the sky.
Yes. Yes. I was exactly the same.
Yeah.
And I was saying this to a great friend of mine, Connor, but there's a very harsh reality that you come to, that nobody in that small town will understand or give you recognition for what you're doing. You can't seek for approval, you can't seek for an opinion, you can't seek for support from anyone in that echo chamber that you live in. So you've got to be a man, you've got to strap on the boots, pick a direction and start walking. Understand that while you're in that small town, you're on the journey completely by yourself.
Yeah. I mean, that's why online's great though. Like, I found that to be a big perk of online, that was my gateway to, like, I had more online friends than I did in person.
Yeah.
You know, I was in like
Probably still do.
communities. I'll be doing Zoom meetings and shit. Because I was like, fuck, this is the only people who I feel like get it.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be jumping on, we'd be like, hey, what's going on? And it was cool because I was from Australia, they were from like the US and the UK. So it was like, there was like a magic about it. And it was, I mean, it was more online friends. I think that's actually a great, like, if you're in a small town, start networking online. When I first moved to the Gold Coast, so I grew up in Sydney, which is just like another city in Australia. And when I moved, I left that to come to the Gold Coast, where there is more entrepreneurship and business mindset in the Gold Coast. Even though it's smaller, it brings those people in. When I did that, like, the reason I did that is because I developed connections online.
Yes.
And it was a friend of mine who I met online that invited me to come.
Yeah.
So it's like you can build connections. You can build your social media. You can, you know, especially if you're training and you look good, or you've got some kind of valuable asset, you can actually position yourself in a small town.
Yes.
Connect with people outside of that town.
Yeah.
And then use that as a gateway to, when you travel, to have some foot in the door.
The beautiful part of this is you'll get to meet him soon, but one of my great friends by the name of Hudson is a brother of mine. We're in the exact same position for the past 4.5 years. Then once you take that step outside, the people from that small town, you actually uplift people and you bring people with you.
Yeah.
You become an inspiration for people
that's
that
true.
used to know you. They think they still know you, but they don't quite understand that you're actually superhuman now. But you become an inspiration to
Compared
people
to
in
them.
that small town.
Compared to them, you're like literally unrelatable. They're like,
Yes.
like, whoa, like, please teach me.
Yeah.
Like, that happens.
Yeah, and it's a shock as well. I think I'd love to hear your opinion as well, but I went through a phase where you were talking about you going into complete working by yourself, you go into solitary confinement essentially.
Yeah.
But it's a very interesting phase when you cut off the people around you, you cut off your friends. It's almost like you snap out of this daze and you take a step back and you observe, who are these people I'm hanging around? Like, what are we actually talking about? Like, what are we actually doing? Like, who am I when I'm actually around these people? I went through a phase where I completely cut off everyone, not because I wanted to, because the natural progression, when you be around those people, you just feel like so uneasy. Like, I'm not this person anymore.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear your opinion on if you felt like you went through a phase where you just cut so many people off because they just weren't adding to your life, especially when you're in that echo chamber. I feel like you have to go through a phase of just really hunking down and going for self-growth.
Yeah, bro, I think I'm still, there's even friends who I've had in Sydney. I've probably held on to maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah.
You know? I was never one actually to be anyways hanging around a lot of people. I grew up extremely shy, reserved.
Yeah.
So even in school, when I would go to school, at recess and lunch, I'd be in the library reading or doing some shit like that. You know? I'd either read, and then in high school, I'd be playing piano. Like, I was already self-isolating just for other reasons. But I did have close friends, and I've kept in touch, but I do find now, as I'm stepping even further into other directions, that even friends who I kept, I'm finding it very hard to relate in any way.
Yeah.
Like, except for only like the most, even like hobbies that I would have had, whether it's fitness or I used to love playing video games or whatever. It's like I could play a game with them.
Yeah.
And then once I play that game, I'm like, okay, well, like what now?
Yeah.
You know, so I find, man, like, yeah, I just stopped. I just, like, with what we talk about in vibrational frequency, and once your frequency starts changing, you literally just do not match.
No.
And the thing is I don't spend really time thinking about that mismatch anymore. I mean, maybe for you do, because it's only recent and you've had a lot of changes in these past couple months. But for me, it's been a couple years now. So I'm at that point where I don't hold on to anything necessary. I wouldn't say anything, but I really don't hold on to much from that Sydney life, bro. I'm like not the same person at all.
Yeah. And you're exactly right. And that's why I'm learning a lot from you at this point in time, because you're growing, I'm growing at such a rapid rate that the energy, like everything just doesn't align with people from the past. And it's going to be very interesting when you, especially in my position, when I start seeing friends, seeing family again, you know, when you elevate to a certain level of consciousness and then going back and revisiting those people, they still know you for the person that you truly are. But
to be honest, bro, like the only people that I would ever go back to Sydney for is really family. And even with my family, there's only a few of them that I'm in touch with.
Yeah.
And friends, man, like at this point, maybe one or two, maybe. But I don't have an urgency to even do that, you know? So, and I'm not saying that in a way that I'm proud of. That's just because we have different paths. We've just grown apart. And that's life. You do your thing, you develop, you resonate with different people as you go. And it's not personal. Like I've got things within my family where it's just like, fuck man, I don't have time for this shit. Like I don't have time, like I don't resonate with this topic of argument.
Yeah.
You know, because I've got some family drama that happens. I don't really get involved in it. I am involved no matter what, because it's my family, but I just choose not to really engage it. I approach it with love, but whenever the shit comes up, bro, I'm just like, I've literally, this doesn't have a place in my life. It just doesn't. So, yeah, bro, like at least for me personally, man, it's not even a matter of like, oh, imagine like how it's gonna be when I'm back. It's just like, dude, I'm not even thinking about that. I'm looking fucking forward.
One question that I've got for you, this is, because I'm quite new to the transition, right? Like it was only 10 months ago that I've begun my journey into the online space and become conscious and aware of where you can actually take life. What's something you would say, because whoever would be watching this video, I would be someone that would be watching this video going, oh, I wonder what those guys would be doing. I wonder what they would say. What's a message you would say to someone who's still in that small town, who's stuck in that echo chamber? What's one message you would say to them, potentially to help them break free of their limiting beliefs?
You gotta buy access. You gotta buy access. Like I bought access. The people that I wanted to be around, I bought their shit. That was my way to talk to them. That was my way to connect with them. And then once I bought their shit, I was in their vicinity. I could start the conversation, you know?
Yeah.
I could be also in communities. I bought my way into communities. I spent 30K on access to a mastermind, plus a recurring on top of that, you know? And I'm not saying that mastermind alone brought me a lot of value, but that mindset of doing that brought me a lot of value. So I bought mentorships, bro. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, because I know that's very common advice.
No, you're exactly right. And especially if you're getting into the online business space, it's all about value, right? And I think one thing my mentor taught me at the start, and then we'll swiftly transition, is that giving without expectation. And I think that's all I did to even get value or to even get advice in the start, is I would just offer as much as I possibly. I had nothing to offer. I'm
no, but you know what it is though, a good attitude, bro.
Yeah.
Like when I met you, I already knew, I'm like, that's the old me. Like I knew, like I saw myself in you immediately, like your behaviors. And it's funny because your behaviors is a result of your coping mechanism in the small town of self-isolation. It's exactly what I did.
Exactly.
I had those behaviors. And that's why when I saw you, I'm like, I literally feel like I know him.
Yeah.
Like, because it's me. You
Yeah,
know?
I just want to bunker down, bro, and get my work done.
Yeah, literally. Just fucking isolate in the room, do your calls, and
Yeah.
because that's all you know.
Yeah.
That's all you know. But the thing is, to get to the next level, you have to actually stop that. You got to break that habit of just self-isolating. You actually got to step out and expand.
Yeah.
So that's what you're starting to do now, and that's fucking great that you are learning that so much earlier, because that will now, you've got that leverage of developing connections and opportunities coming in and out.
Yeah.
But the thing that did it for you, bro, was like your attitude. Like you were ready.
Yeah.
Like you were ready to listen, and I could see it. And for anyone in a natural mentor position, when they see that, they know that person will go somewhere.
Yeah.
They want to be part of it.
Yeah.
Or they just see themselves in you and they just want to help because it's all so close to them. They're like, fuck, man, that's me.
Yeah.
You know, they feel the pain almost. They're like, fuck, man, I know, bro. Let me help you. Let me make it easier.
Yeah.
Let me show you, because I've done it.
And there's definitely a phase, like to go from 0 to 1, it does require you to lock yourself in your room for a period of time.
It does.
Right? And,
It does.
and go through those phases. But then once you going from 1 to 2, that's when it's all about networking and actually getting out and surrounding yourself, which is what I've been learning since coming here, and especially from yourself. But yeah, I think even I'm only quite new to the journey, but if I could go back to myself like a year ago, and if there's anything I could say to myself, I'd love to hear your thoughts as well, but it would be just that. It's like, be willing to go all in. Like I said this to Connor, just like balls to the wall, and just understand that no one's coming to save you. No magic man is going to fly down from the sky, give you $1 million and help you escape your hometown. Like it's a very uncomfortable journey going from 0 to 1. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you got to take extreme ownership, because you're in that position where most people are victim-minded. So it starts with extreme ownership and realizing that, yes, it is a choice. I will say what really changed it for me, bro, was just leaving.
Yeah.
Like really just leaving that town, because it's like, as much as you have a proactive mindset, like I was so good at like flipping shit, because you didn't really have an option, right? Everything was a reframe.
Yeah.
You know? So I was really fucking good at it. But it's funny because I thought I was really good. I left and I look back and I'm like, I can't believe I was doing that. like there was some things that I was doing that it was just so habituated, but I didn't even know.
Yeah.
It was like, no, bro, you got to do this. But I didn't know because there was no one that I was around that like I could learn from, like in person.
Yeah.
You know, because online is your step one. It's the easiest and quickest way.
Yeah.
But there's something different about actually being around productive people, seeing how they even think on a day-to-day basis. So when I moved, I was already ready to move. Like mentally, I was like, I'm not staying here. I already knew that. But it was just a matter of when. And I got comfortable for a bit.
Yeah.
You know, like I told myself that I wasn't comfortable, but I was actually comfortable. And then that's when I had a friend offer me, I actually was providing value to him. I was in obviously the fitness space. So I was like, yeah, let's train. I helped him out. I built that relationship. And then I proposed like an accountability system. Because at this point, I'm incredibly disciplined. And he wasn't, to the same degree at least.
Yeah.
So here I am, fucking same thing, hungry, like ready to fucking go. I'm like, yeah, bro, like accountability every day. We're gonna call each other. Well, we're gonna set 3 things that we're gonna do, and then call each other at night, see if we did it, and then have like some kind of punishment. You know, like I pitched that to him, and this was someone who I wanted to connect with, right? So I saw that he was getting value from me, just with my attitude, and then I was just like, I just want to connect with these guys. So I pitched the accountability thing, which was my door to actually connect with someone else in a different city, and also a respectable figure in a space that I was, wanted to be part of. And from that's when the opportunity, he's like, hey, I need someone to move in. Like, are you keen? And 4 weeks later, I left, bro. I quit my PT job.
Dang.
I just fucking, like, literally it was like, you know, it was nerve-wracking, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I knew I had to do it.
Yeah.
And I was like doing the numbers. I was like, is my online business like ready for this? And so I just fucking left. Like, I didn't have certainty. But worst case, I knew I could have always gone
come
back.
back. Yeah.
I could always go back. So I planted those seeds, and I utilized that to then get an opportunity to leave. And then when I could actually be around that person, it was like a real life mentorship. And it's the real life mentorships, bro, that fucking change shit. Right? Being around Craig, like being around just a group of people with different assets,
Yep.
it changes you on a different level.
Yep.
Because humans, as much as online is scalable, humans can really fucking connect on a different level. We can pick up sub-communication in person. I can watch someone and just see how they go about their day and be like, interesting how they, you know, they make the coffee first before they do this. And then what they talk about is this. And they take their time in the morning before they go ahead and go, like, I'm just making shit up, but you observe things on a different level.
You do, man. Craig has a very interesting way of putting it, like having the human connection. You're harvesting the energy. Like the energy, the vibrations, even just the conversation we're having now, this is together you're amplifying, right? You think of the people on the Sundays, everything that well, the people we know, Jay, Braden, for example, you're harvesting the energy and having that human connection, even just like men, being around brothers, right? Men that are really going for it. That's some serious fucking energy right there.
Being in the room, like fucking Craig's on the couch, you're like in your thing. All I'm thinking in my brain is like, this is how we're gonna look before we jump on the stage and talk to thousands, whatever that number is of people.
Yeah.
Like I'm already seeing it, because I'm like, this is the dynamic already. Like I can feel that just by being around it.
Yeah.
You know, you can picture it, you can start seeing things.
Yeah.
But it's, man, honestly, I really struggle to see how you can do that alone.
Yeah.
Like there's only so much you can do alone.
Yeah. It's the combining forces. It sounds so corny, bro, but it's like the Power Rangers, right? They all come together and they become
I love that
they
show,
become one.
Back in the day.
But yeah, bro, I think that's incredible value, right? Especially for people that are suffering from small town syndrome at the moment. It's incredible value.
It's tough for people, man. Like, well, it's as tough as they make it. It's more tough because you got your own shit to unlearn.
Yeah.
You got your own shit to unlearn. There's a lot of like fears. There's a lot of worrying about what people think, especially in a small town, because word would get around and blah, 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 blah. No one really gives a fuck. Like, dude, some people don't even remember me.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
Everyone-
Like, from my school, dude.
Yeah.
Well, where were you from? I'm like, fuck you, dude. But I knew I was like,
Yeah,
I was a
man.
fucking nerd.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, it's not, all the fears and shit for someone who's actually like in that situation right now, they're not real.
No.
And let's say even if it was true, which, look, sometimes it will be true that some people will judge you. It never would have mattered if you really just thought years and years ahead. Like, imagine that 5, 10, 15, 20 years go by, longer. Would it have ever mattered, those opinions? And the fact that you would let that stop you from taking a step to leave or do something that might disappoint someone you care about right now, it's like, just future pace that shit. When you're 70 and you're looking back, what are you gonna regret more? It always gives you the answer of what you need to do. So, I mean, look, if you're not willing to change shit, it's gonna stay the same, and if anything, it will get worse. And the worst part is that you will start resenting yourself, and then that will reflect in your resentment to the world. You'll just become a very resentful person.
Yeah.
And that's the reality. When you see people who are old and resentful and nasty, that's not because they're of like people doing mean to them. That's them being nasty and resentful of themselves and the lack of proactive decision making in their life, being extremely disappointed in the kind of person they are, living their life that way, and then having it reflect outward.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and the energy's harmful, right? You feel that.
Dude,
It's penetrating energy.
it's incredibly unfortunate, bro. I mean, that's why I've been in the coaching space. Basically most of my professional career. I mean, I've never had a job that wasn't coaching. It's always been fitness coaching, and then obviously into online. But yeah, I'm just really trying to put myself in the brain of someone in a small town right now, and like, honestly, I don't even like the feeling because I remember it. It fucking sucks.
For myself, it's still like, it's there. It's like, it's like,
I honestly feel disgusted. I'm like, no, I don't even want to think about that shit, man.
At the same time, we've both been there, right? And some people would listen to that and they go, oh, yeah, I'm still in that position though. And trust me, like, we've been there. We know exactly what you're feeling. But I think one thing that has just come to mind then is that one thing that nearly held me back was other people's opinions in the small town.
Yeah.
You're living your own life. I'm living my own life. Craig's living his own life. People only give a fuck about themselves. You're in sales. I'm in sales. People only care about their life. Everyone lives in their own little echo chamber. Your problems, what you're thinking is going to hold you back. Nobody is actually thinking about that. Nobody gives a fuck about you in this small town. Nobody is going to do anything for you.
They will pass judgment on you. They'll say shit, but they actually don't give a fuck. And they don't give a fuck about you. Like, they don't care about your future. They care about what it means to them.
Exactly.
You know, so it's all relative. It's all in context of them, which means it's not about you, it's about them. So why not make it about you? And take ownership. Do not, like, if you're watching this and your first thought is, but shut the fuck up. Like, seriously, drop the shit. Because that's the thinking that will keep you stuck. Like, honestly, dude.
Yeah.
Like, but it's, it's different because, victim.
Yes.
And that's the thing. You need to completely, and you need to be extreme about it. No excuse. Doesn't matter how valid it is. It doesn't matter how valid it is. Because even if it was valid and I told you that it was valid, would it help you? No, it won't fucking help you. So be unreasonable about your ownership of everything. Even if it wasn't in your control, whatever it is. It's like, take ownership of absolutely fucking everything. Because when you do, now you can start working. Now you can start changing things, right? It was the same thing when I started training. It was like, this is something I can actually fucking change. There's no excuse with training. You show up or you don't, and it's the same thing. So get rid of the excuses, and stop worrying about disappointing people. Because ultimately, if you don't do the things you know you should be doing, you're going to be disappointed in yourself. And if you're disappointed in yourself, you're not going to be the kind of person that these people would even want to be around, because you're going to be resentful. And you're going to be resentful of yourself, of them, because you're worried about their opinions. And it's just going to do a detriment to everyone. You're not going to be doing good things in this world from that place. No. So you got to take care of yourself. And then once you go fucking disappoint them in the short term, make something of yourself, hey, come back and reward them. Hey, I know I've been gone for a little bit. I had to, I had to explore myself and really step into what I was doing. Hey, look what I've done. You need me to pay your bills? It's all good, I got you. Like, come back if you're really worried.
It's true leadership.
Yeah.
That's what that is right there. I don't know if you went through the same thing, but you're not cutting off friends, not cutting off family, but 100% believing in yourself and showing them that you can have an opinion, you can have judgment, but that's just an opinion. Once they realize that you are not giving a single fuck about what their opinion is of you, but I fell out with my parents, I fell out with all of my friends, because the journey I was taking was the complete opposite direction of where everyone else wants you to head. But once you walk that way, you forge that new path, and they realize that, he's actually doing it. And then you come back with proof and you show them that, they go, my opinion actually never mattered in the first place. Then they just accept.
They don't even say shit. That's the funny part, bro. Like, at least this is what happened with me. I got so my mom's Greek, so she's very coddling. I remember that even before, right when school ended and it was like, hey, you're gonna go to university or whatever, like, I had to prove it. I had to say, hey, Like nothing worked. She was like, no, you're going. And I'm like, no, if I go, I'm intentionally gonna fuck up.
Yeah.
Because I don't care.
Yeah.
And I said, give me 1 year to make it here and let me show you. And if I don't make it, I'll go, right?
Yeah.
Conversation was never had. When I left, whatever, you disappoint people, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he's an asshole, he's this and that. You come back, you're a completely fucking different person. They don't bring that convo up.
No.
See, I always knew you'd do well.
Yes.
It is what it is, dude. Like, and that's why you should stop giving a fuck. That's the proof.
Yeah.
That's the proof, bro. It was about them.
Yeah.
It was about them.
Yeah.
And the unfortunate reality is, like, my mum, for example, my success is tied to her ego. It's not actually about me doing well. Like, my mum's, like, it's just what I've observed, at least, Like, she will really speak me up to people because it makes her look good. Now, this is my son. And there's a difference between doing that from a place of like, hey, I'm fucking proud of you, man. And then just doing it to everyone else as like a status thing, When behind the scenes, they're trying to hold you back. And then when you go do something, they're like, oh, you see, look at him and blah, blah, blah. That's when when you see shit like that, you're like, you know what? I'm gonna take care of myself.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take care of myself. And then from that place, hey, the world is, you do what you want. You can help them. From a place of love, even if it was for ego, Because you've taken care of yourself, and from that place you can give from a full bucket.
Yeah. But you can't give from a full bucket if you never put yourself in a position, if you don't take accountability, if you don't take ownership and understand that, again, I'll say it again, but nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's going to come and tell you, hey, you should probably go out and make that decision by yourself. Like, we're going to say stuff. You've got to do that by yourself. Like, you are going to fall out with probably a lot of people. Nobody's going to agree with you.
Yeah.
But unless you take that step into the unknown, you're never going to be in a position where you can actually give. Every single time, every single person I know, now they message you going, oh, what do you do? Do you do online business? Like, oh man, so good to see what you're doing now. That stuff just disappears. Once they see you do not care and you're just going and you're not coming back for them, they go, oh, wait for me.
Yeah.
They feel left behind.
Yeah.
That's it.
Because it's just a reflection to them of the steps they didn't take.
Exactly. Bro, that's... Oh.
Because they look at you and they're like, oh, fuck, I knew I should have done it.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, everyone wants to do it. Like, you can't if you're even watching up until this point, like, you cannot say you do not want to do it. Like, everyone wants to be doing this shit, but are you game? Are you fucking game?
Yeah.
It really comes down to that. Like, is your vision strong enough to do it? Are you game? Like, do you have enough fucking balls? If you don't, enjoy. Enjoy the shitty fucking life with Margaret. You're
Go
salty.
to the pub on the weekends.
Yeah, your salty fucking wife who's just overweight and yelling at you to wash the dishes.
Oh, fuck, man. We're going to a factory job, you hate your life. That was full on.
It's true, though.
It's legit though. Like, someone needs to say it to them. Like, you need to hear it. Like, if you don't want to man up and make a change, sure, stay in your hometown forever. Be miserable by all means. No one's coming to save you. So
no, literally no one's coming to save you. And like you got to make something of yourself. It's actually your step to becoming your own man or your own woman. And I am also speaking on behalf of a man. That's why I speak a bit harsher. But ultimately, when I moved, I had to become a man.
Yeah.
And I was a boy in many ways.
Yeah.
I was a boy in many ways. When I moved in with my friend, he would say, how did you not think of this or this or this? And I'm like, I never had to.
Yeah.
I was still a boy.
Yeah.
So this is the necessary step. If you want to become a man, if you want to become a woman, you got to do this shit, man. You got to step up.
Yeah.
If you don't step up, you're going to be left behind.
Time flies.
Yeah.
The only thing you can't get back is time.
Yeah. And now fucking look, you know? Like for you, bro, the game's just starting. I've been here,
Brother.
what, maybe 3 years? I don't even know, I don't count anymore. But a lot's changed, you know? A lot's changed and it's continued to grow. And the beautiful part is it's not even from a place of like, oh, you see where I came from? It's like you don't even look at that shit. We're talking about this just to fucking help, you know, and because it's new to you.
Yeah.
I don't think about that shit anymore because it's not even part of my reality. And that's the beauty in it, is that to evolve, you have to let go of your past life.
Yeah.
You have to actually let it go to step into the new. And that's the fucking beautiful thing, is when you step into the new, it's just like, it's by your creation. You are actually creating now your reality. That's the fucking beautiful thing. So right now, you're going through that transition. You're already going into creation mode, but it's just going to get better. And then you're going to do it more on your terms, because you're learning right now a lot from Craig, the circle, and all of this. They're like, who the fuck is Craig?
Who's this mystery
this
guy
mystery
called
man?
Craig?
You'll see. You'll
Yeah,
see.
You'll see. Trust.
The wizard, the mystical dragon. But you eventually start becoming more and more and more of your own man, making your own decisions on your own behalf. You're in a learning phase. I'm still in a learning phase, but I would say you're probably a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
And it will only get better. It will only get better. That's the beautiful thing. When you do stuff like this, it just gets better.
It's a net positive.
Yeah.
No matter what.
You learn skills. You become more independent.
Yeah.
You become more firm in yourself.
Yeah.
More self-esteem.
Certainty in life, right?
Yeah.
You're certain with everything you're doing.
You walk fucking different, man. Like, yeah, because you know what you can do, and you're on your path, and no one else can tell you what that looks like.
You're a man with purpose. Purpose doesn't come from small town syndrome.
Nah.
That's not a character trait.
No.
It
Yeah.
doesn't exist.
The brain, if you want to take it to another level, you must expand your way of thinking, and the only way to do that is to be around different thinking. So I look at it like a collective brain. Your small town has a collective brain.
Yeah.
Sure, you can do it through the internet, but it's even better if you can do it by getting around different people and different brains, different environments. It stretches you, literally. You think different, and when you think different, you act different. When you act different, your reality changes and crystallizes around that new way of thinking. And you'll keep doing this. It'll keep evolving and leveling up as that expands and as you view things differently. That's the beautiful thing. It's a constant debunking of your current belief system and your current mental model. And every single time you do that, your outer reality will start reflecting it over time. And that's it. And it's just levels to it. That's why they always say there's levels to the game. It is. It never really ends. It's just levels.
Yeah.
You just keep fucking playing.
Yeah. That's it. And to go from 0 to 1 is probably the most rewarding part.
Yeah, it's definitely like the most resistance, for sure. And then after that, you're like, all right, cool. And then you momentum.
Yeah.
So this is how to get from fucking level 1 to level 2.
Yeah.
And then once you go, what it takes to go, the way that we're talking now is actually, sure, it's still applicable, but to get to the next level, there's different shit.
Yes.
And there's different shit,
Yeah.
you know? It's funny when go on.
I was going to say, look at the journey we're going to have, the conversations we're having now in a year's time, in 2 years' time, 5 years' time. This, we'll look back at this conversation and we're going to be many levels ahead.
I haven't even had a conversation about this stuff in such a long time because it's like you let go of it,
Yeah.
you know? And it's funny, I watch myself when I talk, I feel the resentment sometimes, I feel the anger when I talk about certain topics, you know? And the crazy part is like, that was the initial driving force, you know, the saying pain pushes till vision pulls. Like that was the driving force, it was so fucking strong.
Yes.
That can really get you far. I'm at a place now to where it's more vision. It's starting to transition to vision pulling.
Yeah.
There's still some pain, but I'm extremely aware about that shit. I'm really doing a lot of personal development work to let that go and really be aware of like how my actions are affecting certain parts of my life, you know, because it really does. That pain is great, but you also got to be careful, you know. But that is the pain that really fucking propels you. So use the pain to change, and then eventually, the motivation shift.
Yeah.
It shifts.
Yeah. You can't rely on that pain forever. Like,
No.
I think you can attest to that as well. Is
No.
to get me from like getting that rocket off the ground. Elon says it's like the hardest part in spacecraft is getting the rocket off the ground. Once you've broken through the Earth's like gravitational pull, then it's free form. You're gliding. You're like, that's the easiest part of the journey. But to get that rocket from ground to outside of the Earth's gravitational pull, that is the hardest part. That is 0 to 1.
Yeah.
But that rocket fuel is that pain. And I think for myself especially, it was that pain of just breaking free of that resistance. But once you're outside of the Earth's gravitational pull, you've got to look at another fuel source, because if you're just running on pain all the time,
becomes destructive.
It does.
It becomes destructive. It actually starts fucking shit up. And it was happening with me, like in certain other areas of my life, with like certain people. I noticed, I was like, oh, this is sabotaging shit.
Yeah.
You know, so you got to be careful. With any like massive change, it usually starts with pain anyways. Like that's actually a blessing. So you always look at it like a blessing. But as you're going through the journey, you must practice extreme self-awareness.
Yes.
You know, hey, where is this coming from? Is it coming from fear or love? You know, it's really either of those two. You know, so if it's coming from fear, you're worried about losing it. If it's coming from love, it's expansive, right? It's creative. It's like, I've got nothing to lose here. I'm already good within myself. So I always operate now thinking about that. When I feel a particular way, literally, it's so crazy. That filter is so pivotal. Because like there'll be like the slightest things and I'll just feel like the negativity, the low vibrational frequency. And I'm like, no, this is fear. I'm like, fucking get rid of that. Like, put myself in the place of love. What would I actually do?
Yeah.
You know, and that's a great way to start rewiring that shit. Yeah, you got to be careful, man, because it's a double-edged sword for sure.
And what you just mentioned there, that is, like, for the people listening, they don't understand that. They just think, oh, I feel pain, I feel fear. Oh my! They don't know that you can have awareness of that emotion.
Yeah.
What you did then, you took a step back and you go, oh my God, hang on, what am I actually feeling right now? Whereas some people don't even know that you can actually zoom out. When I was in that position, small town syndrome, I just felt emotion and just went with it because I thought it was natural. I feel fear, I feel pain. That was just what I would live. I would stay in that feedback loop, right? But when you level up, you have new conversations, you gain new perspectives. It allows you to do what you've just done there, and you zoom out and you go, interesting, I'm feeling frustration and anger right now, but that's just a thought. I'm just gonna park that to the side. I'm just gonna not take action on that because that's just an observation.
Yeah, right. See, this is what I mean. Like you almost like don't realize that people don't do this shit.
Exactly. But the people that are listening, man, they would feel that emotion. I'm just outside of that. I'm starting to have self-awareness. But this is for majority of people, man. They wouldn't even they would feel the emotion, they'd feel the anger, the frustration. Oh, I've got to act on this. This is what I'm feeling. You can actually zoom out and observe emotion.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to act on it.
It can be tough sometimes, you know? Like there's times like they call it a trigger for a reason, right? Like you get fucking triggered and you're sitting there and like every cell of your body is like, fuck you.
Yes.
You know, like I do not, like there is nothing collaborative here right now.
Yep.
And it's not easy, you know? Like I've been faced with that and I'm just sitting there and I'm just getting pissed. I'm like, fuck, like I know, but it's like really hard to come from this place. But it's interesting, I almost use that anger towards myself. I'm like, I use the anger and then I get angry at myself for being a victim to the anger. So I use the anger to talk about the place of love. I'm like, I'm just so mad because I just find it so hard to express like my love for you, and then and I start using it towards the love. It's like, you know, like when I look at you and blah 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 blah, and I start transmuting it. It's very strange, but like it can be tough. But if you can do that, man, fuck, like that's a power. That's a power, bro.
Self-mastery. You look at, there's a great example by, I can't remember the author, but I think it was Sun Tzu, but he essentially says that like the highest level of self-mastery is just being a complete observer and understanding that emotions and thoughts, they don't need to be acted on. Like just because how many thoughts do you have a day? However many hundreds of thousands of thoughts per day, you would feel the exact same emotion. But I think that's one message I could send to myself is I used to just act on every single emotion I felt. I used to think, oh, this is natural, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling sad. Feed it. Whereas no, you can actually zoom out.
That's actually dangerous, man.
It was.
You know when, like, if you feel agitated about something and they're like, because I've only been in a relationship for not too long. Like it's been some time, but not too long. But I'm not used to people asking me like kind of frequently how you're feeling. You know, like I usually just operate.
Yeah.
You know, so if I'm experiencing a negative thing and they ask me how I'm feeling and I'm just like, oh, and they're like, oh, but are you? And then I start having to talk about it. I notice it gets worse.
Yes.
I'm like, I actually don't feel like I should be talking. Like this is not, because it's an invalid thing that I'm feeling that way about. So there's no point me discussing it. It's making me just feel more agitated. Like it's very interesting that.
That's an advanced level of self-awareness. And one thing that's just come to my mind then is, you know, the idea and the thought of therapists and how maybe they understand, right, that going to a therapist talking about your emotion, I don't know whether you would call it dwelling, right? But maybe it's how that's levels to it. Like you can go very deep on that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah. You mean that's how they get recurring business?
Well, do you feel like people going and speaking to therapists and dwelling on emotion and reflecting and talking about something, do you feel like they're actually making progression, or do you feel like they're feeling that exact emotion right there where they're just trying to stay in the same place?
I think it's
and
contextual,
not taking
bro.
any action?
I think it's contextual, because if it's not productive, that's different, right? I think it's interesting, right? When we've been exploring more like breath work and all of those things at Soul, I noticed that allowing myself to go through certain emotions is positive.
Yeah.
Because it's allowing me to release it. The thing is, though, it's tied with physicality. So I'm not just talking about events. I'm not talking about the event like, oh yeah, but it's like unfair that because my mindset's so personal development wired that I know how to look at a situation and be like, nah, like that's good because it made me like blah, blah, blah. Like, I know how to do that. It's more that my emotional association has been physically affecting me.
Yeah.
Like I used to hold a lot of tightness all through my right side, and I noticed like I had a lot of like a crazy amount of tension, like, and it was attached with like a pain that I had of like relationships. And then when I explored it and started allowing myself to go into it, I noticed this started reacting, and then I let it happen. And like even on my hands, because I played piano so much, and I think I played piano during a time where I was really hurt.
Yeah.
You know, I noticed that my hand was like self-stretching and clicking, and like it's still kind of going through it because it happened quite recently.
Yeah.
And I felt this just go, and just blood fucking rush all through. Like it was like tight. And it was all connected up. It's so fucking interesting. But that happened when I addressed it.
Yeah.
I was like, the thing is though, I addressed it with my partner because it was like on topic of why I had certain behaviors that was affecting the relationship, you know? And I was like, it's because of this. And then that's when I started feeling it come up, and I communicated with her, and I was like, this is not personal right now, but just like, please be with me as I go through this. And I was like letting my body fucking unravel and fucking crying, and this is like spasming and shit and releasing and opening. But that was almost therapeutic, dude. Like it was like a release because I've been holding on to that shit for years.
Yeah.
So I think there's a time and place.
Yeah.
But it's like me sitting there and logically talking about it, even though I understand the place that it already has, I don't see a point. You know, I already get it. I understand the logical lesson. But if it's starting to affect me still on a subconscious level, I have to address that. You know, I've got to learn to rewire that, or at least allow that physical tension out of my body so I can move past it, physically at least. I think it's contextual, it's time and place. It's not my field, but I've really been delving into that. And it's really been, I think that's been really life-changing, because that shit, doesn't matter that it's like a relationship context, that's affected me in other areas. It's all connected. So these last months, I've almost been less business focused and been more, hey, what the fuck is happening here? Like, looking at my relationship, looking at my behaviors.
Yeah.
And that's almost transformed me. I've let go. Like, I have so much more awareness because I went into it and I allowed myself to go through that I can now step further into another version of myself.
Yeah.
I've never done the counseling structure. I've come from it from the breathwork approach, and then the physicality approach through a guy here, Steve, as well.
Yeah.
And it always started with physical.
Yeah.
So I started working with the physical attachments to the traumas, so to speak. And then that's when I would realize where it came from, and then I allowed myself to physically work through it. Completely different approach to like counseling.
Yeah, it is. It is, man. You're going into the body.
Yeah, I'm actually
rather
going
than into the mind.
Yeah, and the mind, that's what I'm like, that I think the mind can be dangerous.
Yeah.
Like, the body knows. I feel like the body really knows. It's very interesting. When I let go, the body signals to me what things, and when I let myself go into it, like a tightness, it'll start, like, if I, like right now, look, if I fully let go, it'll start fucking fixing itself. Like, literally. Like, if I really relax, watch this, I'll fucking show you, dude. And it'll click. Like, if I really fucking relax, like, this shit's like fixing itself. It's very interesting. Like, this shit has a different fucking language.
It does.
Like, it's this shit that gets in the way.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to control certain things, and with a certain perspective that, hey, it might not be the right perspective. So, anyways, whole other topic, man.
That is.
I think we can wrap this video up. I think we've said quite enough of what to do if you're in a small town.
Yes, I think so.
We've started seeing other sides of other topics and shit.
Oh, it's well, you're offering them so many different perspectives of where they can go, man. Rather than just touching on the small town syndrome, I think if I was to watch this video back when I was first getting started, I'd be like, oh my God, like oh my God, you can actually expand and do things with life. So we're just opening so many doorways for people with a video like this, man.
Yeah, dude.
Great.
That's what I'm about. I'm about like development in all areas. Because I understand that they're not separate, bro.
We're all the same.
And all these areas aren't separate. Like, it's all a byproduct of you. So I am fucking passionate about working on you.
Yes.
You know, whether it's fitness, relationships, just shit within yourself, it's all intertwined. So when the who improves, everything out here, it improves. So anyways, I hope this was valuable. This has been, we never really told them like what you do now, but you pump some sales.
Pump some sales.
He collects some cash.
Just a little bit of dough here and
A little
there.
bit of dough. In a couple months, completely fucking changed shit.
Yes.
And if you follow me, you already know what I do. And if you don't, click the fucking links. You'll see what I do. And I hope you got some value. See you in the next one.
Peace.